TV. So today we are going to be diving into the circle skirts, the gathers, the pleats, and from there we pick it up. So welcome. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's live class. If you're new here, my name is Princess Mary Adedoyin from Those Fashions Academy, and I am the lead fashion store of Those Fashions Academy, where we help you to give your creativity expressions. So today, live session, we are going to be learning the theory aspects of how to calculate your flare measurements perfectly. You're going to be calculating all your flare, learning how to calculate all your flare. Maybe you have been confused about flare measurements and the like. Probably the waist doesn't fit. Probably you tend to have essays by the time you cut. Probably maybe when you have a just narrow fabric and you want to maximize it, and then you are cutting and then you notice that it's not just giving you the result of what you want. So today we are going to be hacking all the secrets to do that, and also to get your measurement right. The right measurements you need to calculate for gathers, for pleats, for tucks. Everything we're going to be learning, and then half circle, full circle, that is for flare. Just peplum is just a short form of a flare. So no, we are going to be diving into that, and we're going to be learning all the calculations in details. All right, so that is all we are going to be learning today, and we are going to be learning how to draft it, to get each angle, to get the radius, and to get your measurements, and to get your calculations right. Like I said earlier, I am the lead fashion store of Those Fashions Academy, where we help you to give your creativity expressions. So we are just going to be diving into all these details today. So if you're here and you're watching now, let us know in the comment section where you're watching from, and then probably your name, if you can put that. So we are talking about flare and circle skirt the simple way. Before we start, please, I'm going to be giving you a few minutes to grab your notebook and a calculator. I want you to also grab your measuring tape. I want you to have your waist circumference measurements with you. I want you to grab your pattern drafting paper, your pattern drafting tools. So everyone, so quickly now, go ahead right now and grab all your tools, grab your notebook, your calculator, your tape measure, and then just that. So grab all that and let us quickly dive right into it. Now, a quick question for everyone. Have you ever cut a flare skirt and it didn't come out right? If you have tried any of that, will you type yes in the comment section? If you haven't, just type no. So if you have ever tried a circle skirt before, like a circle skirt, when you meet circle, everything's circle on the bottoms. It may be short, it may be long, it may be a peplum, it may be like a flare. So just like I said earlier, peplum is just like a short form of a flare. So that is short. Okay. So right now, I need you to drop in the comment section. Have you ever tried before? Is it yes or a no? By the end of this live, you are going to understand what flare really means, type of circle skirts, how calculations work, how peplum comes from circle. Peplums was generated from circle. How peplums come from circle, how gathers, pleats, and tucks fit into circle skirts, how and the mistake to avoid as a beginner or even an advanced learner. So there are some quick mistake, there are some mistake one should avoid when we are working with a flare, most especially in the calculations and that. Oh, pardon me, compliments of the season to everyone. It is a beautiful season of the year, and you can as well make use of this practical to quickly make a quick bottom like a flare, a gathers, or a tuck for your season as you maximize this lesson. So let's journey. I'm going to be giving just a few minutes. Let's give some few minutes so that everyone too can quickly warm up and join us. This is Those Fashions Academy channel. So while taking the break, so let me quickly brush through most of our tutorials on our channel that you have been maximizing. On our channel, we have for now, we have the basic essential blocks on our channel that you can always make use of. So if you are totally a beginner that don't really have idea of anything, probably you just bought a machine, a sewing machine, or maybe it's a gift that is gifted to you, and then you've been looking for how to navigate around it, so you are on the right channel, because here we have a quick hack to set up your sewing machine. We also have the details tutorials that you can learn to you can maximize with your basic essentials. Which are the 5 essentials? Your basic block, bodice, basic skirt, basic sleeve, and then your basic pants. You can always learn that. And then we upgraded to so many drape tutorials you can as well make yourself. All right, so that is it. So right now we're just going to be going into the flare. So we're going to quickly be reminding us what a flare is and then why flare. So quickly, let us look at it. For us to clear one thing first, it says that flare is not a decoration. Yeah, it's not just a decoration. So probably you've seen it. Yes, you can say, okay, flare is a decoration. Flare, it's but it's not just that. That is not just all about flare. Okay, so flare is simply extra fullness added intentionally. So that is flair. So it is not just a decoration, just like I said earlier. It is fullness. It is simply extra fullness added intentionally. That is flair. You want this massive effect, pardon me, rather, on your bottom of your design. You just have a beautiful princess seam, maybe a shoulder, maybe armhole, or maybe even just like your basic darts. You have it on the upper bodies. And then on the lower part, you want to have something really nice. Okay, so then you just go right into flare. So you're just going to be using flare. Then the short form of a flare, it is peplum. So that's why peplum is derived from a flare. Okay, so it is extra fullness added intentionally. So we cannot say a straight skirt has little or no flare. So that is when you just have just a basic skirt. If you don't know how to draft a basic skirt block, it is on this channel. You can learn how to do that, draft your skirts like a pro that you are. Okay, so when we say a pencil skirt or a straight skirt, just like some people we call it. Okay, so that pencil or straight skirt, it has little or no flare. Okay, at all. So it is pencil, it is saber, it is no with no flare. Okay, then we now move to A line. When I say A line has small flare. So a small flare. So A line, on the side, you want to come out a little bit. That is why it's called A line. The way A shape is, from the top down to the bottom. So this is why it is called A line. That one has just about small flare. Then when I say circle, which is what we are going into today, circle has controlled, calculated flare. Flare gives movement, flow, drama, and shape. So circle has a controlled and a calculated flare. So when you say controlled or calculated flare, that is when maybe you want to introduce like a gather, like a pleats or even tucks. So then you begin to calculate, and then you begin to say, okay, for this pleat, I want to fold this pleat. I want to have about maybe 30 folding for my pleats. So now depending on the kind of pleats you want, then you begin to now calculate the number of box you want to fold. Now we have the keys pleats, we have the accordion, we have the knife. So you begin to calculate the number of folds. That is why it is calculated and controlled. And tucks is as well similar to pleats. Okay, so right now we're just going to, if your flare is wrong, your skirt will never sit right, no matter how neat you sew. Okay, so if your flare is wrong, your skirt will never sit right, no matter how neat you sew. So if your flare is wrong, your skirt will never sit right. So that is where the foundation is, which is the flare. And this is what brings us together here today to learn and to maximize this so that we don't miss it. Now we're quickly going to be going now into understanding our circle skirts. Okay, so understanding our circle skirt. So say a circle skirt is called a circle. Why is circle skirt called circle? Why is a goddess full goddess called a circle? Why is a pleats full pleats called a circle? Just like the way you see it on most outfits, just like the bridals, the evening makeup pants, the ball dress, and all that. So why are they called circle? Simply because the waist is cut from a circular shape. Okay, so this is where you want to cut the waist into a circular shape. Excuse me. The waist is cut from a circular shape. Now this is now depending on how much of the circle we use. We get different types of circle skirts. So circle is called circle because the waist is cut from a circular shape. Okay, so this is now depending on how much the circle we use that we get different types of circle skirts. Now this brings us into the different types of circle that we have. Now we say we have a quarter circle. So when you see a circle, this is just let's say this is just like a circle. Can you see this image clearly? So let's say this is a circle now. So this is a circle that is drawn and then it is painted in 4 different colors. So it is a circle. Now each section of a circle is 90 degrees. So 90 degrees into 4 times 4 brings us into 360 degrees. And that is why a full circle is 360 degrees. So can you see this, right? So a full circle is 360 degrees, just like you're seeing here. Okay. Right. So each section of the circle now divided into 4 like this. Each section of a circle is 90 degrees and the complete set of a circle is 360 degrees. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Okay, so now when we now say it is 4. So now say quarter, this is a full circle. To have half circle, you're going to be having half. So half of 360 degrees is going to be 180 degrees. So now the quarter is going to be 90 degree. Okay, so now that is it. So for a circle now, we say we have the quarter circle, which is the 90 degree, just like it's shown on this image. This is the 90 degree shown on the image. Then we are now going to say, okay, 180 degree, that is half of a circle, that is 90, bringing us to 180 degree. Like I said, it is a full circle, and a full circle is 360 degree, just like you're seeing it over here. I'm sure you're seeing this clearly. Okay, so a full circle is 360. Then it has 4 sections, 90, 90, 90, 90. Right? Great. So now 90 plus 90, 180. So half of a circle is 180 degree, and then quarter of a circle is 90 degree. Then we have the full circle is 360 degree. Okay, so for circle now, we have 90 degree quarter of a circle. We have 180 degrees. That is half of a circle. That is going to do half of a circle. If you want to design half of a circle for that particular project, it may be pleat, it may be tossed, it may even be just a flare. Okay, then half is 180 degree, then full circle it is 360 degrees. That is the entire full circle. And then we have the double circle. The double full circle, it is 720 degrees. That is 360 degrees plus 360 degrees. It brings us to having 720 degrees. That is two full circles. Do you get that? So now you want to step it up, right? You want a very full effect. Maybe the project you're working with, you want drama, right? Maybe for your peplum, for your clay, for your gathers, maybe you are working with a bride dress. You're designing for a bride, okay? So now that particular one, now you cannot say I want four full circle. Wow. So four full circles is going to be very, very interesting. So that brings you into 1440 degrees. Do you get it? So you cannot have 1440 degrees, but the question now is, how do I get these calculations and how do I get my calculations right? Okay, so the more circle you use, the more fabric you need, the more movement you get, the more dramatic the skirt looks. Okay, so the more circle you use, the more fabric you need, the more movement you get, then the more dramatic the skirt looks. So the more degrees, the more the drama of the skirt, right? Okay, and then beautiful, then the more fabric you also be needing for your projects. Okay, so we are progressing, right? Okay, so fullness is a design choice, not a mistake, right? So type in the chat, which one have you tried before? Okay, so you can just put in the chat, which one have you tried before? Have you tried your full flex skirt before? Maybe like a 360 degrees, like a 90 degrees, like a 180, like 1440 degrees. So which of them have you tried before? Can you put in the chat? I would love to see and I would love to hear from you. Okay, great. So right now we're just going to be going into measurements and heaves. Most flare problems do not come from sewing. They come from wrong measurements. Yes, most flare, not from sewing, just from the wrong measurements. Maybe you got your measurements wrong, okay? Okay, which is it is not a really big deal, right? So it's just for you to get it right. So when you make your mistake in designing, you sit back and then you look at it again and look at how you can change the perspective, the narrative, and do it right. So it is not just from the sewing, they may come from wrong measurements. So now for circle skirts, you need your waist circumference measurement, your skirt length, your correct understanding of it. So right now we are going to be going into the division, and that I'm going to be teaching you how to do your right division. So while you do your division right now, so you need to understand that you need your perfect waist circumference. So when you want to get this waist circumference, it is not a waist circumference you're going to be wearing a baggy clothes. Like something I'm putting on like this, it is heavy. You're not wearing anything heavy. In fact, I will advise you don't have anything on your waist when you want to measure your waist for your flare, because it is important. If you add extra cm or even inch, maybe quarter inch to your circumference, it's going to affect the fit. And if you also reduce, it will affect the fit. So this is why it is very important to get your measurements right. So this is by taking your waist circumference measurements and not with a baggy clothes. Please take it without even putting on anything on your waist. And then in our video on how to take perfect body measurements on this channel, check how to take your measurements. And then the quick tip in getting your perfect waist circumference is by tying a rope around your waist. If you are making for a client, maybe a bride, you want to make for a bride or something, so maybe anybody, a client or yourself or a family member, kindly give them a rope to tie on the waist. So when they tie this on the waist, it just gets the waist exactly. So you have the waist snatched, okay? Then you cannot put your You can now put your tape measure around the waist circumference to have your waist circumference. It is very important, so don't forget that. So while you have your waist circumference, now you now determine the skirt length, the length you want to work with for this project. So what is the skirt length? It is a floor length. Is it a knee length? Is it a thigh length? Or is it just a peplum, like the hip length? If you are just doing a peplum, peplum is a short form of a flare. So is it like a peplum? Okay, so just the short form to the hip length. So you determine your hip length. Your waist should be measured comfortably, not too tight, bulky, bulky waist. So when it's too tight, it becomes a bulky waist. So it is more than your measurement. And when it's too tight, it becomes a bulky waist. It is too tight for you. And when it's too loose, it becomes like a falling skirt. So it's going to be falling. Your flare will not stay. So let's now say you don't want to pleat, or you don't want to gather, you don't want to put gather, you just want just your usual flare. So you're not going to be having that flare again, because that has already been distorted, because you didn't really get your waist circumference measurements right. I hope we are progressing. Another common mistake is forgetting seam allowance or waistband effect. So when you also forget your seam allowance or your waistband effect, it is also very key. Please don't forget seam allowance or waistband effect, right? So if you want to put a waistband, that means you have to reduce and put volume and put a space for the waistband that you're going to be inserting on the skirt. It is also key. So remember, if the measurement is wrong, the skirt will also be wrong. Right, great. So we are progressing. We are almost 22 minutes gone. Right, I hope we are really doing well. So right now we're just going to go into our measurements, into how to calculate our circle, which is what put us together here today. So now that we have laid a right foundation, the next thing for us is to now go into calculation of all our circles. Right, basic skirt formula, basic circle skirt formula. The waist opening is a circle. The waist opening is a circle, just like I showed you earlier on. So this is the circle, right? Okay, so this around somewhere around here will be your waist opening. So every other things will now fall accordingly, depending on the degree you're working with. Maybe you're working with a full flare, maybe you're working with half flare or quarter flare, or maybe you want 2 full circle, or even 4 full circle, or you want 8 full circle. Okay, right. So we're just going to go now into it. So now talking about the basic skirt formulas. So the basic skirt formula, it is the radius equals to the waist divided by the circle constant. So that is the formula to use in calculating a flare. So it is a radius. Let me put it on in a big paper for you to see. So what we want to calculate now, it is the radius of a skirt. So it is a skirt, it is a circle, so it is the radius we are looking for. So in order to get a radius of a circle, the radius of a circle is now circumference over circle constant. So this is a radius. We say radius r is going to be giving us the formula of waist over circle constant. So radius is waist over circle constant, right? So just like you're seeing there, so radius, so the circle is radius over circle constant. Please give me a sec. Yes, please. There is. So now, right now, we're just going to. Sorry about the short, like quick break to quickly fix one or two things just to make everything all right. So now we're just going to calculate this. Yes, right. So for us to get our circle, because I'm going to need you. You know what you're going to be doing for me now? I want you to take your waist circumference measurement. Have you done that? Because you're going to be calculating together. We are going to be drafting a basic script so that you're going to be seeing the calculation. Please don't forget, we are drafting a full circle before we leave. So right now, I want you to quickly get your waist circumference. So now for example, so we are going to be drafting now. We are going to be doing a calculation, right? And I want you to have your calculator and also your writing material with you. Do you get that? Okay, yes, please. Thank you. So now say radius, that is the radius equals to waist over circle constant. So now when we talk of circle constant is 2 pi, and 2 pi puts you at 6.28. Pi is a constant, right? And pi is 3.14. So 2 pi is 6.28. That is 2 times 3.14. That puts at 6.28. That is the circle constant that is underneath. That is the waist over 6.28. Great. So now we say full circle, 360 degrees. So 360 degrees. So if you want to calculate for a 360 degrees right now, so let us start from the base, which is the 90 degree. Let's say you want to make a peplum. Let's say you want to make a peplum for 90 degrees. You want to make a peplum for 90 degrees. So now that is the quarter of a circle, just like I showed you earlier. Look at this. So this is a full circle. So the quarter is just this one section, which is 90 degrees. So I'm going to be saying that radius equals to, let's say the case study of what I am working with now. I'm working with 30 degrees for the waist circumference. Okay, I don't want to confuse us. I want to really say this in a way that you understand. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the network break. That was a network break. So now I'm going to be calling out the formulas for you so that you take them down, you put them down so that we don't get it mixed up. Now, if you want a full circle skirt, that is 360 degrees. That is the entire circle, the 360 degrees. So for a full circle skirt, it is your waist circumference, waist divided by 6.28. Put it down. If you want to draft a flare for a 360 degrees, that is waist over 6.28. You remember I explained earlier that 6.28 is 2 pi, right? Okay, so the main formula is radius equals waist over circle constant, and the circle constant is 6.28. Now put it down this way so that you're going to understand it and you're not going to be mixing them up. Now for a full circle skirt, 360 degrees, radius equals to waist over 6.28. That is your waist circumference for yourself or your client. That is for a 360 degrees. Great. Now let's move into the half circle skirt. So for half circle skirt, which is 180 degrees. So for 180 degrees, it is your radius. To get your radius is equals to waist over 3.14. Waist over 3.14. Why is 3.14? Is because it is half of a full circle, remember, and then half warrants that we are going to take half of that 2 pi. So it's just going to be a pi. It's not going to be 2 pi, and then pi is 3.14. I'm going to repeat this again. For a full circle skirt, it is waist over 2 pi, provided that your 2 pi is 6.28. For half of a circle, it is waist circumference over pi. That is 3.14. That is for 180 degrees. So you just want to do just half of a flare. So it's just going to be 3.14. Right. Okay, we are proceeding. Now, we now say we want a quarter circle. That is 90 degrees. Right? So for 90 degrees, in order to have a circle for a 90 degree, it is waist circumference over 1.57. Your waist over 1.57. That is 3.14 divide 2. That puts you at 1.57. So you're going to notice that it is the circle constant that we keep dividing. For 360 degrees, it was 2 pi. Okay, so it was waist divided by 2 pi. For 180 degree, pardon me, please. For 180 degrees, it was half, it was pi, because 2 pi has been divided by 2, which put us at pi. And then pi is 3.14. Then for 90 degrees, that is 180, half of 180 degrees, that is half of a pi. And that puts us at 3.14 divided by 2. This puts us at 1.57. Do we get this? Yeah, great. So now this puts us at 1.57. So again, I'm going to repeat. For the radius of a full circle, waist over 6.28, provided that 6.28 is 2 pi. 180 degrees, that is half of a circle. If you are cutting for half of a circle, that is 180 degrees, and to get the radius of your skirt, it is waist divide by pi. Pi, provided that pi is 3.14, so waist over 3.14. Then if you want to draw for just 90 degrees, so you're just going to be saying waist, that is the radius for 90 degrees, that is waist, or all over, waist over pi divided by 2, it is 1.57. So that is waist over 1.57. So clear? We have full circle now, we have half of a circle, and then we have the quarter circle. Great. Excellent. So now this makes us to proceed into now saying maybe you want to do a double circle skirt. So if you want to do a double circle skirt, that is 720 degrees. You know, a full circle is 360 degrees, right? Then a double circle is going to be 360 plus 360, giving us 720 degrees. So that means that project, you want to have 2 full circle for the project you are working with. This puts you at having 720 degrees. Now to have 720 degrees now, so this radius, how to calculate radius for a 720 degrees is going to be your waist over 12.56. To get the radius of a skirt for a 720 degrees is the waist all over waist divided by 12/56. Waist divide 12.56. So provided that 12.56 is 6.28 times 2, right? Because we use 6.28 for the 360 degrees. Now it is double over 360 degrees. So that is why we are now going to multiply 2 by 6.28. That is our circle constant, right? So the formula in calculating the radius for the waist circumference for a double skirt, it's 6 is waist over 12.56. Waist over 12.56. Waist circumference divided by 12.56. Waist circumference divided by 12.56. Your waist circumference divided by 12.56. That is going to be giving you a 2 full circle. I hope you are having an amazing time. Okay, great. So now let's say I want 4 full circles. That is 1440 degrees. That is 360, 360, 360, 360 in 4 places. That is 360 times 4, right? So 360 times 4 puts me at 1440 degrees. So this is now my radius is now going to be waist divided by 25.12. To get a full set, to get my circle, to get my radius for, I want to design for 1440 degrees. So I'm going to be dividing my waist by 25.12. So you can now say, provided that 25.12 is now 6.28 times 4. No, 6.28 is for the full circle. So it is now multiplied by 4 because we want a 4 full circle. Right. So this puts us at having 6.28 times 4, 12.25.12. That is waist divided by 25.12. That is for the radius for a 1440 degrees for your project. Excellent. So now we have been able to justify the formula to use in calculating each degrees. Please give me a sec. Okay, great. So now we are just going to be using a case study, and then the case study is going to be a waist circumference of 30 inches. So now you have a client, you have yourself, you have a friend or a family member you want to make like a full circle for, or you have a bride that you want to make a ball dress for with a full flare. So how do I calculate my measurements? Great. So that is what we are going to now. So let's say the waist circumference we are working with is 30 inches. So if you are working with cm, kindly check with cm. So now the rule is, if you're working with any side of the measurement, make sure you stick with 1. If you're working with a centimeter, stick with centimeter. And if you're working with inches, stay with inches. Okay? So don't leave each other. So don't mix things up so that you're going to confuse yourself. So if it is a circle, if it's a 30 inches, if it is inches, for your tape measure, you have the inches side. If you're working with inches side, just stick to inches side. If you're working with the centimeter side, stick with the centimeter. Right. So now we say 30 inches. So let's say case study of 30 inches. So my 30 inches for my cm is 76 cm. Right. So, but I'm going to be working with inches. So kindly take notes of that. So I am working with inches. So let's see our case study. So we have a case study here. Say, calculate a skirt radius for 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees, 1440 degrees, provided that waist circumference is 30 inches. So you have you want to make a full circle sketch for yourself, or you don't have much fabric, you have a narrow fabric, and then you want to make like a quarter circle, or you want to even go with a half of a circle. You don't want something too dramatic. Probably you want a drama, and then you want 2 full circles, which is 720 degrees, or you want 4 full circles, which is 1440 degrees. You want to make. So let's quickly make a 30 inches waist circumference as a case study, and then we do this right now. So first, if it is 90 degrees I want, that is a quarter circle I want for the project I'm working with. So I say radius is equals to 30 divided by 1.57. If you want to calculate for a quarter circle, so that is waist circumference waist circumference divided by 1.57. So this puts me at 19.11. Then I want to make for 180 degrees, that is half of a full circle. So for half of a full circle, then I say my radius is equals to my waist circumference divided by 0.14. Making for 180 degrees. Half of a full circle is waist circumference divided by 3.14. Remember, provided that 3.14 is a pi. Really? Great. So now for 30 inches, for the quarter circle, which is for 90 degrees, it is 19.11 I have there. So when I have 19.11, it is easier for me now to now draft. So I cannot cut this in 4 places, and then I have full circle for it, but maybe it's just 2, so just minimal, whatever you want to do with it. Great, right? Okay, so now we now say for 180 degrees, so you still have your complete set full. So for 180 degrees, 30 divided 3.14, that puts me at 9.55. Now for 360 degrees, that is full circle, your waist circumference divided by 6.28. Waist circumference divided by 6.28, full circle. Waist circumference divided by 6.28. So 30 inches divided by 6.28, then I have what I need for waist for my full circle. Are we following? Great. Right. So 7.28 is what I'm going to be, 4.78 is what I'm going to be using for my waist circumference, and then I have my waist circumference complete. Great. So now let's say it is for 720 degrees. That is the double full circle. The double full circle now, it is radius, that is now be 30 divided by 12.56. That puts me at 2.39. So because we are going to be having a double full circle, means you are going to be drafting 2 of these. 720 degrees is going to be, you're going to be cutting 2 360 degrees. That is 720 degrees. 2 360 degrees, so that you have a very full flare, a very full gathers, a very full tucks, or a very full pleat, or even a very full peplum. So depending on what you want. So now say for 1440 degrees, that is a full circle times 4. So the formula in getting 1440 degrees is your waist circumference divided by 25.12. Waist circumference divided by 25 plus 0.12. That is 30 divided by 25.12. So you have your answer, and then you're going to be using it to make your draft. The more flare you want, the smaller the radius. Right? So that brings us into having all the measurements and having all we want for our draft. So now let us quickly analyze the gather, circle, skirts calculations, the thoughts, the pleated circle skirt calculations, and then we now go into the fabric folding, so you know how to fold this and how to mark this on your pattern piece. So let's say you want to do a gather. So it is gather skirt you want to do, maybe for a ball dress or anything. Though some people just cut like a straight and then the gather is still formed. But it is quite different from that you cut on a circle and then you gather. The result is always unique. You will always see that in your results, okay? So it's quite unique. You're going to notice that. If you cut on a circle, that is you have more fabric to make for that ball dress or the circle effect. If you cut on a circle, it is quite different from just cutting straight, because I've also done that and I've seen the effect. So let's start the gather circle skirt calculations. So gather is just like a soft control of flare. So what we need here, we need the gather ratio method. We need the So instead of changing radius, we increase waist measurements. So if you want the common gather ratio, if you want a light gather, you can say I want a light gather. You don't want the gather to be too much. You want a medium gathers, and then probably you want heavy gather. So depend on what you want. So let's say light gather is 1.5 times waist circumference. So my waist circumference is 30 inches. Okay, so let's say my waist circumference is 30 inches. So then I'm just going to multiply 1.5 times 30. That is for light gather. Okay, so that is if you're going to be doing light gather. 30 times 1.5. Then you're going to be using it for a light gather. So that brings you into having just a light gather. Right? So let's now say medium gather. So medium gather is now going to be 2 multiplied by your waist. So my waist circumference now is 30 inches. 30 inches times 2 is going to be putting me at 60. So 60 inches is what I'm going to be using before I now do my calculation and then I gather. So if you now want every gather, so every gather is now going to be 2.5 from the range of 2.5 to 3 inches. That is for every gather. Then you multiply by your waist circumference. So imagine, just imagine now, me multiplying 3 inches by 30. I have 90. That is every gather, right? That is every gather. Now the formula in getting this now. So we are going to quickly look at the formula now. So the formula is adjusted waist equals to actual waist times gather ratio. I'm going to repeat this again. Adjusted waist equals to actual waist times gather ratio. Okay, so now you want to make a gather skirt. Someone has walked up to you. I want a full gather skirt. I'm not talking of the one you just cut your straight fabric and then you gather. No, I want a full gather skirt. But the full gather skirt is going to be like more like a medium gather, not too heavy, not too light, but something that falls in between and beautiful. That is what I want. So you now want a medium gather. So that is you are working with a medium gather ratio, which is 2 inches. And then you've gone ahead to measure the waist circumference, and then the waist circumference happened to be 30 inches. So you just say 30 inches times 2. I have 60 inches. So you have increased your waist circumference, because when you increase the waist circumference like that, you are now going to be able to gather it. Do you get it? Okay, so now that you multiply that by the measurement, so you'll be able to gather it, and then it puts you at doing the norm gather. Great. So now that is the actual waist. So now you say my adjusted waist now is now equals to my actual waist times gather ratio. So your gather ratio now is 2 inches because you are just working with a medium. You just want a medium gather. So you now say 30 times 2 puts me at 60. That is now your adjusted waist. That is now the new waist circumference you're going to be using. So now say my radius is equals to now your adjusted waist. That is 60 inches. That is the one you have multiplied by the gather ratio. 60 inches divided by circle constant. So that circle constant now brings us to if it is we want a 360 degrees, or you want the 180 degrees or the 90 degrees. So let's say we are working with a full flare 360 degrees. So now you're going to be saying that my radius is equals to 60 divided by 6.28. Do we get this logic? Hope we are still following through. Okay, so that puts me at my waist, my adjusted waist divided by my circle constant. Great. So now let's make a case study here now. Example, calculate a skirt radius for a full circle 360 degrees, every gathered, provided the waist circumference is 30 inches. So just like I make example. So now this is every gathered. So for every gather ratio, what do we call the every gather ratio now? Is 3 inches. I will repeat again. Light gather ratio, either your pleats, your tucks, you can use 1.5 inch to 1.5 inch. For medium gather ratio, it is 2 inches. Then for every gather ratio, it is within the range of 2.5 to 3 inches. It works for pleats, for tucks, and even for your gathers. So this figure are what you are going to be multiplying by your actual waist circumference. So now that the case study is not saying every gather is like 3 inches. 3 inches multiplied by my waist circumference of 30 inches, this puts me at 90 inches. And 90 inches is what I'm now going to be dividing by my circle constant, which if it is 360 degrees, that is a full circle I want to work with. So I just divide by the circle constant of 3.6.28. Okay, so now you're just going to be saying that you are going to be dividing by the measurements like that. So now you're going to say 3 times, every gather ratio is 3 inches. So 3 inches multiplying my waist circumference, which is 30 inches. 3 times 30 puts me at 90 inches. 90 inches divided by 6.28. This is 14.4. That is the radius I'm going to be using in calculating my measurements and getting it right. Great. So that's what you're going to be using to draft this on your pattern or even on your fabric. So this, what we are doing here is the radius. That is the radius, and the radius is what is going to be, let me show you a sketch. So look at this now. This is like a 90 degree. That is the quarter that is bring out from a full circle. Now this is a full circle, right? So this is just a section of a 90 degree that we brought out. That is sketched here like this. So it is sketched here like this. So this is a 90 degrees. So this 90 degrees now. So this here, what is here is the radius we are calculating. Is to get that radius, that effective radius, not to miss the radius. That is what we are calculating. Do you get that? Okay, great. I hope you are really learning and enjoying this. All right, so I'm going to put some quick calculation tip in the comment section and description box so that you can follow through with the formulas and everything, so you can use it anytime you want to make use of them. So now let's go into the pleated circle skirt. Now when we talk of pleated is just like a structured control of flare. Okay, so pleated is a structured control of flare. So now the first thing you want to do for pleats is you want to decide the number of pleats. Decide the pleat type. Okay, you can decide the pleat type and size. So what kind of pleat do you want to go for? How many type of pleats do you know? Mention them for me. Okay, guys. So let's say I want to go for a knife pleat. I want to go for inverted bust pleat. I want to go for accordion pleat. So depending on the pleats you are going for. So when you now determine the pleats you want to do, so someone has walked up to you. I want a pleat skirt, or I want a gown, but you're going to be pleating the lower part. And I want a full pleated lower part. I mean, the full pleated is going to be on a circle, not just straight. I want something so full. Then you now say, okay, should we do every pleated for you, or something light, or something medium? So you're still going to be following that ratio of 1 to 1.5, 2, and then 3. You're still going to be following that. So 1.5 is for light, 2 inches is for medium, and then within the range of 2.5 to 3 inches is for heavy, either pleats, either gathers, either tucks. Depends on what you want to achieve. So when you now see that, so it's just going to be determine that, and then you multiply by your waist circumference first. So you have your adjusted waist circumference to be equals to your waist multiplied by the pleat ratio. So you have that. So you're just going to be working with that for your calculation. Same way, same thing we did for the pleat. Radius equals to your adjusted waist. That is waist you have multiplied by the amount of the volume you want, either light, medium, or heavy. So you're just going to be dividing that by your circle constant. So now we cite an example. Now let's say you want to make a pleat of about 720 degrees, right? and then it's going to be like a medium pleat. So now you're just going to be saying, okay, you remember I told you that a medium pleat ratio is 2 inches. I can see that most people are joining in now. Okay, so medium pleat ratio 2 inches. Just like I said earlier, your pleat ratio. Okay, so if you want to work for a light, you just want a light, you multiply by 1.5. If you want medium, you multiply by 2. If you want heavy, you multiply by 3 inches. Then you say, okay, so medium pleat ratio is 2 inches, waist circumference is 30 inches. So then you just say 30 times 2 puts me at 60. Then for a double circle, 720 degrees. So you're just going to go ahead and say my radius is equals to, that is your adjusted waist now. Adjusted waist divided by 12.56. 12.56 is a circle constant for a 720 degrees. Don't forget, circle constant is a circle constant for a 720 degrees, and that's what is 60 divided by 12.56, 4.78. A circle formula never changes. What changes? How much fullness you introduce before you calculate. Haha. So this brings us to the end of our calculation, and I hope you've been able to also do your calculation right. How many of you have made your calculation and all that? So now rightly bring your calculation outside. So I'm going to just recap again from the beginning. I'm just going to briefly recap. For us to get our radius, the radius of a circle is equals to waist divided by circle constant. That is the formula for the radius of a circle. So if you want a flare full circle, so the formula for a radius of a circle is equals to waist circumference over circle constant. Now the circle constants vary and changes due to the amount of degree you're working with. So if you want a 90 degree, your circle constant will change. So circle constant is now vary. So circle constant is the one that is vary. So the waist circumference remain the same that you used to calculate. Now for 90 degrees, your circle constant again is 1 point. Where is it again? For 90 degrees, your circle constant is 1.57. For 180 degrees, your circle constant is 3.14. For full circle, your circle constant is 6.28. Then for double circle skirts, your circle constant is 12.56. And then for 1440 degrees, your circle constant is 25.12. So it is just those circle constants you're going to be changing for those degrees as you divide. Then as you move on and move on as you divide. All right, great. So next now I'm going to quickly show us the angle of how to calculate that. But before we do that, let's quickly talk about the fabric folding. So fabric folding, the way you fold the fabric determines how many seams you get, how smooth the flare is, how accurate the skirt hangs. So for a cut skirt, it's just a one layer. It's just a one fold. Just on a one layer, not a double fold. Fabric is mostly open, often used when fabric is narrow and requires more seam. So when fabric is narrow, when you don't have much fabric, you can work with 90 degrees. 180 degrees, fabrics have 2 layers. So one folded edge and one open edge. You're going to be seeing it when I show you on the paper now. Okay, then you place your radius along the folded edge. Then for a full circle skirt, that is a 360 degrees, the fabric is going to be folded into 4. There's going to be a crosswise, so it's going to be folded into 4. That is for a full circle. So just like I showed you in this circle, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be folded into 4. That is 360 degrees. You are going to be having 4 layers and 1 corner with 2 folds. Okay, the folded corner is where you place your radius measurements, right? Great. So now for double circle skirts, that is 720 degrees. And that is a 2 full circles. That is for the 720 degrees. 2 full circles. So you are going to be having 1 full circle and another full circle, then you join them together and they give you more volume. So if your fold is wrong, the circle will never sit correctly, even if your calculation is right. Great. So right now, quickly join me to bring the pattern making tools, and then I'm going to be setting this so that you're certainly going to be seeing how this is drafted. We are still live. I want to set my table so I can show you a few things on how to make this paper effective on our pattern. So can you see my table right now? Right. I hope this is clear enough for you to see. So I'm going to be bringing out my paper. Let's say this is my paper here. Okay. And then the first thing first. So I want to draft for a 90 degrees. So this is my paper here, right? So I want to first draft for a 90-degree peplum. All right. So this is just a 1 layer paper. So the first thing first I'm going to be doing is to get my circumference measurement. So of which my circumference, let's say waist circumference, my waist circumference is 30 inches, and we're gonna head to do the division earlier. So then you're going to have your skirts, you're going to be having your length as well. So you have your waist circumference, okay, which is about 30 inches. So you have your waist circumference. So having your waist circumference and then your skirt length too. So let's say the working with just the peplum length of about 10 inches. That is what we are working with here. And then I want to make a draft for just 90 degrees, and we're gonna head to do the division before. So then my radius is equals to my waist circumference all over my circle constant. So waist circumference over circle constant. So, and then for 90 degrees, the circle constant for 90 degrees is pi divided by 2, which puts me at 1 point. It puts me at 1.57. Right. Okay, so that's my circle constant. Then I've gone ahead, I'm now going to go ahead and say my 30 inches divided by 1.57. Okay, so that puts me at having my 90 degrees. So this is my radius I'm going to be using, 19.11. That is for this. So it is 19.11. So 19.11 is what I'm using for my radius. So you are going to be adding 19.11 to your waist, to your skirt length. This is your, let's say this is your skirt length. So you are going to be adding 19.11 to skirt length, so that you'll be able to know the amount of fabric you want to use in length and in breadth, because you're going to be needing a fabric for both length and the breadth. So you now say, let's say this is my skirt length. Skirt length is 10, and then my radius is 19.11. So 19.11 plus 10 puts me at 29.11. So I am going for 29.11. So that's what you are going to be drafting on your paper. But now if you are drafting for just 90 degree, so you're just going to be working, you are going to be working with just a paper. You are going to be working with one layer of paper, then you are going to be working at one angle of the paper. Just because of the case study of paper I'm using, I'm just going to be using a skirt length of about, so let's say, so you're just going to be taking your measurements on the paper, and then you're going to be marking it. So it is just from this angle, but I'm going to be using a minimum measurement. So for my skirt length, let's say I'm just working with 3 inches. So 3 inches plus 19.11, you're going to be adding it to it, and then you'll be dividing it. So let's say my skirt length just 3 inches, but because 90 inches doesn't really have, 90 degrees doesn't really have effect, so let's move into the one that we want to relearn. But if it is just 90 degrees, you're just going to be working with one layer like this, just like it's a seam on this sketch. So you see, so from one angle here, just this one layer here, you're just going to be marking, then you mark it round, you mark the length round. So yeah, let's say assume that this is 29.11 now, 29.11. So 29.11, 29.11, you're going to be marking it round. So after marking your 29.11 round, then you come to your radius and then mark your radius, then you cut. That brings you into having the 90 degrees. So now we are not going with 90 degrees, we want to do that of the full circle. So in calculating for a full circle, that we have done the calculation earlier on before. So for my full circle, let's say I want to cut a full flare and it is 360 degrees. 360 degrees is what I want for this full flare. And remember that the formula in calculating this is radius equals to waist circumference over circle constant. And then the circle constant for a 360 degrees, it is 2 pi. Circle constant for a 360 degrees is 2 pi. So 2 pi is 6.28. That is 2 times 3.14. That is 360 degrees. So you're now going to be saying that my waist circumference is 30 inches over 6.28. So 30 divided by 6.28 now is going to be giving you your full circle. So remember, this is 360 degrees and it is full circle. 30 divide 6.28, that puts me at 4.78. So this is what I'm going to be using to cut my full circle. So then let's say, what is now your skirt length? So what is your skirt length? You say my skirt length is just, let's say my skirt length is is just 5 inches. So let's say my skirt length is 6 inches. So if your skirt length is 10 inches, then you can work with it. So it says 6 inches plus. So you are going to be adding 6 inches plus 4 to determine the length and the breadth of your fabric. So 6 inches plus your radius, 10.78. So this is my paper here, and then it's going to be folded into 4. So remember that 360 degrees is 4 layer. So first of all, after getting your new length, 6 plus 4, 7, 8, 10.78. So then you go ahead now and then you fold your fabric. So you see the way I'm folding it. Let's assume this is your fabric. So I'm folding this, and then I will confirm if I have 10.78. Okay, so look at this now. So this is more than 10.78. So I'm still going to fold it, reduce this a bit. So let's assume this is your fabric, right? So okay, so I have my 10.78 here now. So having your 10.78 now, so the next thing you want to do now is you want to fold again. So when you have 10.78 here now, so then you fold again. Remember, we first fold like this, and then the next thing is to fold again. That is why it is 360 degrees. So we fold again. So it's going to be having a 4. Do you get it? It's going to be having 4 folds, just like you're seeing on this. 1, 2, 3, 4. For a full circle of 360 degrees. If it is 180 degrees, it's going to be having just 1, 2. If it is just 90 degrees, it's going to be having just 1. But since it's 360 degrees, it's going to be having 4 folds. Okay, so that is what we are folding. This is for 360 degrees. It's going to be having 4 folds, 2, 3, 4. So now this is it. So I've gone ahead to first of all fold it first. So after folding it the first time, you confirm the length. This is your skirt length, 6 inches, and this is your radius, 4.78. So you add your radius to your skirt length, making 10.78. So 10.78 is what you are going to be folding. So this is the first fold, 10.78, right? Then you're going to go ahead now again and do the second fold. We first of all do the first fold, and then the next thing is to now do the second fold. Okay, so this is the second fold. I hope you can see this very well. So you do the second fold. So the second fold now is, you're also going to be confirming the measurement of the second fold again. So which is 10.78 is what we are looking for. So this is more than 10.78. So you make sure you have it up to 10.78. Okay, so when you have it up to 10.78 now, so we have 10.78. So this brings us into having 4 folds. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you're going to be using the folded part. Please give me a sec. Okay, great. So this brings us into having this now. So you have 10 points on both sides. You have 10.78 here, 10.78 here. So on the folded part is where your mark will now begin. So you're going to be begin your mark from the folded part. So first of all, you get the length. So this is 10.78. So you're going to place your tape measure at the corner of the folded part. Please on the folded part, please. Okay, so 10.78 from here. So whatever you mark is what you're going to be marking round from there. Let me get my pencil so I mark this out. 10.78. Okay, 10.78 from the folded part here, and then you begin to mark round, round, round. Excuse me, please. I'm looking for where there is more sunlight. Okay, so I do hope you can see this very well now. Great. So it's now 10.78, 10.8 on all the sides. So you are going to be, don't make the mistake of starting your measurements from the opening part. No, your measurement is to start from the edge here, from this corner edge here. So you're just going to be starting your measurements from here. Okay, it is from here, right? So then you begin to measure 10.78 round. So you place it here, take your measurements. So you mark your 10.78. Okay, yeah. You still leave it like that. Don't move it from this edge. It's going to be 10.78, right? Don't move it, still leave it there. Then you move it again, 10.78. Right? So leaving it at the tip here again, you're still moving it. It's still 10.78. Okay, till you get to this place. Remember, it is 360 degrees and it is laid on each other in double. So 10.78. So when you have it this way, you have it complete. Then you can now go ahead and blend the circles following the dashed lines you've put there before. Okay, so following through the dashed lines you put there before. So this puts you at 10.78. Okay, so this is for the peplum of the two. Right, great. So now that we have this now, then you can now go ahead and put the radius. And what is our radius? Our radius is 4.78. Remember, we added the radius with the skirt length to cut our peplum. So even if we are cutting for a skirt length of 30 inches, we are still going to be doing the same thing. So it is on the folded part, you'll be taking, from the folded part, you'll be taking your measurements, and then it goes on and on. So from there right now, you want to go ahead and put your radius. Okay, great. So now let us put our radius, which our radius is 4.78. So from the tip here, you're going to be marking your radius of 4.78. Still from this corner fold here. Please don't place your tape measure from here. It is from the corner fold. So it's still going to mark 4.78. So you still go on and still mark 4.78. So while you're done marking this, then you just go ahead and also blend this together. So in blending it, you want to also use your marker to outline this out. Yes, so now you see, so we have the radius part and we have the skirt length. So this is the radius aspect for 360 degrees and this is the skirt length. So we are going to go ahead right now and then we're going to be cutting this out. So this is for 360 degrees. Great. So we cut it out and then look at what we have. So we have the radius So remain the radius for us to cut the radius out. So you go ahead now and cut the radius out. Okay, so look at what we have here. So this is 60 degrees. So you're going to notice this is now the full circle. So that's why it is divided into 4, just like it is on the circle. So just like it is on the circle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It is divided into 4, right? So you can now see that we now have it in 4 sections. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4 is for a full circle, right? So this is why this also is folded into 4 parts. So making it to be 4 fold. And then we've gone ahead to cut our radius and then the skirt length. So this is how it's now going to be looking like, and this is for a full peplum. I hope you're seeing this very well. So this is for a full circle. So now let's say you want to do for a 720 degrees. So let's quickly do that of a 720 degrees. So 720 degrees now is now going to be half of this. So let's do 720 degrees. 720 degrees is a 2 full peplum, right? 2 full circle. So for 720 degrees, this is for 720 degrees. Let's say for 720 degrees now, okay. So my radius, that is the formula. Radius is equals to waist circumference. Sorry for the network break. So we are back. So 20 degrees is now waist circumference divided by circle constant. So provided that the circle constant for 720 degrees is that is 6.28 into 2 different places. Let me search this camera very well. I hope you can see this. Great. So for circle constant for 720 degrees is 6.28 multiplied by 2. You know, circle constant for a 360 degrees is 6.28. That is 2 pi. So for a 720 degrees, 360 times 2 is going to be even 720. So for 720 degrees now, is now going to be 6.28 times 2. So 6.28 multiplied by 2 is going to be putting you at 12.56. So that is the circle constant we are using here. 12.56 here. So now that we have 12.56, so now say your waist circumference divided by circle constant. So your radius is equal to circumference divided by circle constant. So what is now circumference for your waist circumference measurements, provided we are still using 30 inches. So now say 30 inches divided by circle constant is 12.57. So you're going to go on with the division and then you divide. So 30 divide 12.56 puts me at 2.39. So it is 2.39 I'm going to be drafting now for my radius. Then I'm going to now determine my skirt length. So I want to say, let me use same skirt length as this also, 6 inches. So I'll say skirt length is 6 inches. Okay, great. So I now say 6 inches, and this is my radius, and this is my skirt length. And then it is 720 degrees we are doing here. So right now, the next thing we want to do, so this is for a 360 degrees. So you can see all the grain lines on the 360 degrees circle. Okay, so this is my 360 degrees. So I want to cut that of the 720 degrees. So in drafting the 720 degrees, same procedure we used earlier on. So now 720 degrees is how many 360 degrees? 2 360 degrees. So we are going to be cutting 2 360 degrees for 720 degrees because it is 2 full circle. So I'm going to be picking up my paper. Let me see if it's still up to what I want to draft. So I bring in another paper. So you're going to, first of all, let me see if it will be up to it. So I need a length of 6 plus 2.39. That is 8.39. Okay, it won't be enough. So this is my paper here. So, and then first of all, I'm going to be folding like this. So you fold like this. I hope you're also making yours. All right. So you fold like this. So what I need here is how many inches? I need 6 plus 2.39. It is 8.39. So it is folded in that manner, and then I confirm if I have up to 8.39. Okay. So it's still more than this a little bit. Great. So I have up to 8.39 is what I want. I have up to that. Then after folding like this, you want to go ahead and then you fold again like this. So the first thing to do is to fold like this first. That is for a full circle, and then you fold again. Remember, a full circle is 4 aspects. So you fold, you have a 4 fold. You have how many fold? 4 fold. So this is 1, and then fold on another one, 2. Then it's going to be folding on this other 2, so making 4. And then you're going to be using the folded aspect for your circle. So you also confirm again if it's up to 8.39. Okay, I have it up to that. So now that I have this, so the next thing I want to do now is to now go ahead and then I will start marking this out. So you're going to take a measurement from this folded part here. Okay, so you take a measurement for this folded part here, and then you measure. So you measure 8.39 round first of all. So I'm going ahead now to mark my 8.39 round. Remember, this is the radius we calculated, and this is our skirt length. So skirt length plus 2.39 making 8.39. So I'm going to go ahead right now, and then I will be marking 8.39. Okay, mark it round like that. All right, so you're going to be taking this mark round the radius, 8.39. Please, if you are there and you are enjoying this live section, put it in the comment section that I'm getting it, and don't forget to ask your question. Please ask a question in the comment section. So now that you have it round, you want to go ahead and then blend these dashed lines together. So this is the length of the peplum you're working with, provided with what we are using here. So if your skirt length is more than this, it is going to be more. So after doing the fold, Okay, perfect. So do you see that? So 8.39. So the next thing you want to do is to now draw your radius, and then your radius is 2.39. So let's go ahead and put the radius of 2.39, which is the radius. Okay, so from the folded parts, don't forget, not from the opening parts of your fabric. So let's assume it's your fabric you are working with, so it is from the folded parts. Okay, great. So while marking this out, so you want to outline this. Yeah, so look at that. So this is the radius aspect, and this is the folded aspect. This is the radius, this is the folded. So this is for 720 degrees, and remember, for 720 degrees we are going to be cutting 2 of this. So look at this. So you're just going to go ahead right now and cut out the skirt length first. So you cut out the skirt length, and then you bring out the radius as well. Great. So now this is it. So we are going to be having 2 pieces of 2 full skirts for a 720 degrees. So this is a 720 degrees, one part, and then I'm going to be cutting. So you want to also use this to cut the second part. So you bring your fabric again, and then you cut the second part. Then this brings you into having 720 degrees. Then your skirt complete. So I'm going to be bringing in a paper. This paper will not be enough. Let me bring in another paper. Okay, great. So this is another paper entirely. So bringing in another paper, so you want to cut another of this, making 2 that you are cutting. So I'm just going to go ahead, and then I cut the second part. For this. So remember, for a full circle 360 degrees, it is 4 fold. It is 4 fold layer. So don't forget. So you're going to be using it to cut the second one. So this brings you into having 2 720 degrees. So 2 360 degrees, which is now 720 degrees. So since the 720 degrees we are cutting out, so just place this on the second paper, and then you cut out. So you're having 2 pieces of this. It's a 720 degrees is a double of a full circle. A 720 degrees is the double of a 2 full circle. A 720 degrees is the double of a 2 full circle. 2 full circles, 2 full circle, 2 full circle, 360 degrees. That is 720. 360 plus 360. So this is 720 degrees, and this is the second part of the 720 degrees. So these 2 are now going to be going for each other. So yours is to slash by the side. So you're going to be slashing by one side of this of one 720 degrees, and then you slash one of this other 720 degrees. Okay. So when you slash, then you want to go ahead and you join them together. So this helps you to have volume. So you have enough volume. So you can imagine how full this you're going to be having by the time you design this 720 degrees. So go ahead now and stitch this together. So I'm going to be using my tape to join this together on the side right now. So I want to tape this to show you the effect of this. So when you cut on your fabric, then you're going to be seeing the effect. Perfect. So this is how many degrees again? This is 720 degrees. So look at how full it is. So even if it's a long skirt, even if it's a long length you're working with, so you're going to be having something as full as this for your peplum for 720 degrees. So this is 720. So as you can see, so imagine 720 degrees now. So this is 720 degrees and this is what it's looking like. So imagine 720 degrees compared to that of 360 degrees. So look at 360 degrees. 360 degrees is also full, but not as full as that of the 720 degrees. Do you see it? You see that? So you see the wave. So the wave on this is more than the wave on this. So that is that. So the next thing now we want to do now is, if you are cutting for 1440 degrees, so you're also going to go ahead and also do your division. Should we do the 1440 degrees? Okay, so let's say we want to do, so we've done that of the 360 degrees and then the 1440 degree, the 720 degrees. So for 1440 degree now, so 1440 degrees. So just going to, so let's see with the calculation. So 1440 degrees, it is 4 full circle. 1440 degrees. This is a 4 full circle. This is like 4 times 360 degrees. So the formula remains the same. Your radius is equals to your waist circumference over circle constant. Yeah, and then your circle constant is now going to be equals to 6.28 times 4. Remember, 6.28 is what is used for the full circle constant, which is 2 pi. Okay, so now it's going to be 6.28 times 4. That is for 1440 degrees. And this is going to be giving you 25.12. Okay, so 25.12 now is what you'll be using to divide your waist circumference. So it's now going to be radius equals to 30 is the waist circumference I'm using here, divided by 25.12, right? So then it's going to be giving you your answer, and then my answer is 2.39. So when I have 2.3, it's not going to be 2.39, pardon me, rather it's going to be 1.19. It's going to be 1.19. So the answer is 1.19. 30 divided by 25.12 is going to put me at 1.19. So then you now determine your skirt length. So your skirt length, let's say we are still using the 6 inches for our skirt length, and this is my radius. My radius is 1.19 and then my skirt length is 6 inches. So now I want to go ahead now and draft this. So what I am looking for in length is 7.2. If I approximate this, it's going to be 1.2. So I'm going to be looking out for 7.2. So I'm going to be bringing out my paper and I will be checking for 7.2, and we are going to be cutting 4 pieces of this. So I'm going to put in 7.2 is what I'm looking out for. So this is up to 7.2. Remember, you first of all fold, and then you still fold again. So this is 7.2. So after having this, so the folded part, this edge part here, that is where you're going to be, it's from the folded part you're going to be marking all your lines. So from this folded part now, you'll be marking all your lines. Give me a sec. Okay, so you mark all your lines from this folded part, 7.2, right? That is what we are looking out for. So it is 4. So just go ahead and mark your 7.2 from the folded part. You're going to go ahead and mark it round. 7.2, 7.2, 7.2. So while you mark this round, so you can now outline this out. Great. So when you have this right here right now, so the next thing you want to bring out is to now cut out your radius, and our radius is about 1.2. So just going to mark out your radius, which is 1.2. So I'm going to be using my pencil to outline this out. So it's going to be 1.2 round, 1.2, 1.2. So in doing this, you're also going to now blend this out together. So remember, what we are cutting out now is that of 1440 degrees, and we have gone ahead to do our division, which we have here. So provided for what you are doing. So this is it now. So after doing this, so the next thing you want to do now is to now cut out the skirt length out. And then do radius. Great. This is, so you want to go ahead and say this is 1440 degrees. So we are going to be cutting 4. Remember, 1440 degrees is 4. So we are going to be cutting 4 of this 1440 degrees. So you are going to be picking your paper, your fabric, whatever you are using. So remember, this is a full degree we are doing here. This is a full degree we are working with here. So you'll be cutting 4 of this. So I want to confirm with my paper. This is consuming lots and lots of paper. All right. So if you have enough fabric, you can do this degree because it is very, very dramatic. It's a dramatic one that you will like. So just going to be cutting 4 pieces for this. So I hope you are also mastering how to do this and you are really, really enjoying this. So this class is scheduled for 2 hours and I hope we round up soon. So this is 1440. So this is the second one. And then I still need 2 more because it is 4 full circle. So this is full circle we are doing. So after this, I'm just going to be showing you that of 180. So if you want to do for gathers and for pleats, so just follow the formula and use it to do that. Okay, because paper may not really pardon me. All right, guys. So we look forward to January when we are going to be bringing the sewing classes for every of these on our channel. Please stay tuned and don't miss out on this. I kind of short of paper here. Let me bring in one more paper for this. Okay. So this is going to be giving a very full effect for what we are doing. So it's a dramatic one. So if you have enough fabric, so you're just going to be doing this. So it is 1440 degrees we are cutting here right now. 1440 degrees is what we are cutting here right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this out. All right. So the next thing we want to do now, so we're just going to look for, let me bring the next paper out now, and then I'm going to look for the right paper to use for this. So I'm using the right paper for this now. All right. Okay. So I'm looking for, sorry about that, I was looking for the paper for this paper piece. So I want to allow the paper to fold a little bit so that it shows the effect very well. That's why I was doing that. So when you work with your fabric, you know the right fabric to use. We are almost done with this section. Okay, so this brings us into having 4 pieces for this peplum. So this is 1440 degrees, 1440, 1440. So you want to go ahead and put a label on it. Okay, so we have 4 of these. Right. So this is 4 now. So you see we have 4 full circle for 1440. So go ahead now. We are going to go ahead now and then just going to cut through one side so that you can tape it together. So you cut through one side and then you join the 4 together, and this is going to be giving you a massive 1440. Okay. So you're going to go ahead now and join them together. So you can now imagine the fullness you have. So that is the more flair you have, the drama, the fabric you have for this complete project. Okay, so the more flair you have, the more drama you want. So if you wanted dramatic flair, so this is how to work with it. So that is how to calculate your 1440 degrees. So you see that? Okay, so you keep joining them together. So my paper is starting to tear. I don't want to tear because it's paper I'm using. I didn't meet fabric. You'll have seen how this effect is really showing. So don't forget, common mistake to avoid when you are ready for your peplum is that make sure that you measure your waist accurately. Don't just measure. So do you see how the wave is coming out? So you see how the wave is coming? So this is how the wave we keep forming, and we keep forming. So look at more wave we have. So I'm going to go ahead again, and then I'm going to be taping this on this. So remember, this is 1440 degree. Okay, so if you have this on your peplum, so it's going to be very full, and then it flows massively. So should in case you are joining your flare and it's not aligned on the side, just like what you are seeing here now, don't trim at the radius, trim at the hem. Anytime you want to trim your peplum, you trim the hem, not the radius, just like what I'm showing you here. So you trim the hem. Please don't trim the radius, because when you trim the radius, you increase the radius, you increase the wideness on the radius. Okay, so look at the effect of the 1440. So you see the more volume we have here. So do you see that? So look at it. So this is how 1440 is looking like. So do you see that? So look at 1440. This is still the same circle, the same radius, but it's with one more volume than that of the 720. This is the 720, okay, and then this is the 360 degree. So look at the volume you have. So when you do it more, you have more volume for this. So that is how to calculate for 360. So a quick take home. To take home this afternoon, is it morning in your place? It is afternoon. It is afternoon here going to evening. So that is how to calculate your measurements. And if it is just 180 is just 2 layer. Okay, so let's quickly run through the 180 degree, and then we round up for this live section, and then we are going to come into details for this tutorial in January, that you're going to be seeing everything again. So now let's say 180 degrees. So for 180 degrees, now it is your radius equals to waist circumference over circle constant. Waist circumference over circle constant. So your circle constant here is going to just be pi, which is 3.14, because it is half of a circle. Since it's half of a circle, it's just going to be 180. It's going to be pi. So that is what we are going to have. So 180 degrees is just going to be pi. So now that we have it, so we are going to be saying our 30 divide 3.14. Okay, so you're going to be dividing your skirt radius by 3.14. So whatever you have is now going to be the radius you're going to be using. So the radius is now 9.55. So 9.55 plus the skirt length you want to use. So the skirt length you want to use is what, but the peplum will be less. That is what you're going to be having. The peplum will be less, so I don't have much paper here. I'll have them. So just, so now if you want to cut for half circle, so for half circle, you are just going to be folding your paper into two. So you're going to be having a two-layer fold like this. You know, for a full circle, we have four. We have to fold again. But for half circle, it is just two. And for just one circle, it is just one. For quarter circle, it is one layer. For half circle, it is two layer. Then for full circle, it's now going to be four layer. That is how it's done. And that is how we are going to be rounding up for this tutorial for today. So guys, everyone, watch out for what we are coming with in January next year, as we're going to be bringing in details for every skirt variation. So what I want you to do today is to get all your calculation right, bring out your paper, do all your calculation right. Now that we have learned the basics for all this circle today, now quickly you should take note of the common beginner mistake to avoid. So let me quickly run through a common beginner mistake for you. Okay, everyone. I hope you've really learned a lot today. I do hope so that you have learned so much from the drafting class today. So from our circle, for our circle class today, I hope you have learned so much and you're going home with so much. You have learned all the calculations to arc all your circles without making any mistake. And I'm so sure you have learned the common mistake why you should not reduce or tamper with your radius when you are cutting your fabric. Rather, you trim on the hem, not on the radius. I hope you have learned so much and many more of this tip. Okay, so let me quickly run through the common mistake beginners make. So don't make all this mistake. Using the open edge instead of the folded corner. I've explained that when I was showing you on the paper. So when you want to cut your circle, you want to draw your circle, it is on the folded edge. And remember, your folded edge for 90 degree, it is one layer. For 180 degree, it is two layers. And for 360 degrees, it is four layers fold. I've shown you that when we're making it on the paper. Measuring from wrong points. Don't measure from wrong points, please. So you position your tape measure at that folded edge, not the opening edge, and then you make sure the tape measure is positioned down, then you take it round to get all your circle that you want. Don't also forget to put your seam and hem allowance. So you can see when you want to draw it, as we drew it earlier, remember to also add your hem allowance. Please don't forget, because you're going to be doing that. So I'm going to be running through, we are going to be learning more about how to do our hem, because that is another area that beginners, that even Swiss struggle with, that is hemming of a circle. We are going to be seeing that, and we are going to be bringing more of that video to that. So if it's your first time of being here, seeing this video, joining us live here, don't forget, don't hesitate to click on the subscription button, click on the subscription button, and then turn on your notification bell. So you're also going to be the first to get notified when we bring all these videos to you step by step. Okay, so not aligning grain lines. I'm going to be explaining in details the grain lines and how to put all your grain lines on your fabric, and how to cut, to identify the sewed wedge, to know all the grain lines, to put them on your fabric, where to cut on the bias, across, on the bias fold, on the bias line, on the grain lines, not to miss anything, because grain line is very important. And remember, circle don't just have just one grain line. The more the circle, the more the grain lines and others. So how to identify that and to know where your fabric goes to, and how to position others. So we are going to be seeing this in every of our uploads that are coming soon. So stay tuned, don't miss out. So cutting without checking your fabric weight. So just like I was showing you earlier, when you notice that before I fold my paper. I first of all add both the length I was working with and the radius that was calculated. So just like I was working with a skirt length of 6 inches, and I say my radius is about 2.39. That is for one of the degrees. So I have to add them together so that I'll be able to know the fabric width and the length and all that. I'll be know if it will be enough for my folding. Let's assume I want to fold for 360 degrees now and I don't have enough to fold. So that is a shortage for me. So I need to confirm that. So when you confirm, so by the time you mark your circle round, it is easier for you to cut than to now be managing. Please don't manage when you're cutting circle. If you have a lesser fabric, you should rather go for maybe, if you have a lesser fabric, I will advise you rather go for maybe 180 degrees or 90 degrees, but don't manage for full circle because it cannot be tampered with. When you tamper with it, it won't sit well. It may be high somewhere and low somewhere, except if you're doing high low. Okay, so but since you're not doing high low, it is just a skirt. So if you are cutting a full circle, let your fabric be enough. Just spread your pattern on it the way it is drafted, and then you cut, or the way it is marked on your fabric. Please don't manage any fabric. That is why I'm teaching you how to do that of the 180 and even the 90 degrees, so you can know how to navigate with all this. How to cut when fabric is narrow. Panel method. When fabric is narrow, you can cut the circle in panels. So like 2 half circles. So just like I was explaining earlier. So if your fabric is not much, you can go with 180 degrees and use that, okay, for your full circle. But if you want full, you can as well divide your full circle into two and then use it, then you join them at the side. So either way. So let's say you want to do a floor length and then you're working with a fabric that is not enough. So you can just do half and then you join them together, or you do 4/4 circle. So that is if you're working with maybe a floor length, it is massive and it's much, but the fabric is not much for you to place your pattern. So you can just cut into two circles. So you just join them at the side seam. Okay, please don't manage for a full circle. All right. So when joined, they still form your complete circle when you join them together. Half circle instead of full. That is what I just explained now. If fabric are not contained. So a half also give a beautiful flare with less fabrics. Okay, so don't forget that. It's also a take note for you. And then common mistakes again. Forcing full circle on narrow fabric is not good. Don't do that. Don't force a full circle on a narrow fabric. I'm repeating again. If your fabric is not enough, just go for half. Don't force it. Okay, don't force full circle on a narrow fabric. And then again, ignoring grain to save fabric. You don't ignore grain when you're cutting circle because it helps it to fall naturally. The bounce, the flow, the circle, and all that. That's why it's called circle. So don't ignore the grain. Like I said, I'm going to be guiding you on how to know all your grain lines and how to identify them, how to place them rightly even on a bias folding, so that your skirts they work accordingly and they fall accordingly. Don't miss all the series that is coming to your channel come January. So I believe that, I look forward to bringing the same tutorials for all these skirt variations on this channel, so that you know how to navigate around it and the arc in the hemming and all that. So I look forward to that. So just also look forward to that for me too, so that you can all navigate. Like they said, this is the foundation. This is the foundation we are laying here together today. So please make use of these calculations and get all the calculations right. Cutting without checking the weight on even panels. So like I said, if you are working with it and you are joining just like a 720 degrees now, you know you have to join 4 together. So you want to join the 4 now and you notice that one is longer than each other. Don't trim at the radius, rather trim at the hem. When you are working with a circle, don't trim the radius, trim at the hem, because if you trim on the radius, it is going to affect the radius. It will expand and then it will conceal your waist, except you are doing a gathering or a pleat. If it is just the flare or a peplum, don't trim on the radius. When you trim on the radius, it goes wider. On the hem, it is where you should trim. That is if you are joining two panels together. That is if you are working like with a 720 degrees and then you have like two full circle you want to join together. You trim on the hem, not on the radius. To cut a correct circle skirt, 3 things must be right. the calculation, the fold, and the green line. The green line, I will guide you next in all our uploads, and then the fold. The calculation is what we have explained in detail for the past 2 hours today. Make use of that, and you'll be glad you do. Okay. Circle skirts do not sit on one grain; they sit on multiple grains. Straight grain, it sits on a straight grain, it sits on a cross grain, and a bias, just like I was explaining earlier. That it doesn't sit on just one grain, so it is multiple. We have multiple grain for circle, so not just one grain. No, so I'm going to be telling you how to identify that on your fabric. Just up with me and look forward to January with me so that we bring everything together and how to identify them on your green line. But today's class is to prepare you and also prepare your pattern for the upcoming sewing classes, and also take your getting your calculations and every other thing right. Thank you so much for being here today. So I'm going to open the floor in the next 2-3 minutes. So any question, if you have any question right now, can you drop it in the comment section, and I'm going to be attending to questions before we end this live section now. Thank you so much for staying till the end of this live class. It today helped you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell. So now you can see that once you understand flare, you understand circle skirts, peplums, they all come from the same foundation. That is it. Everything comes from the same foundation, your gathers, your pleats, everything. So you can see that it is explained in detail. So I want you to drop your question in the comment section, and I'll be attending to the question. And also tell me what stood out for you in this live section. We should bring more and more of live section to today. Is this timing working for us? Because it seems that most of us were not really online this time. So we want to refer to that. If the timing doesn't work, so that we work with the timing next time and work the day that is okay. Even yesterday when we were doing a test run for this class, we have several people coming and we're like, it is the test, it is not the main class. But unfortunately today we don't have more people, so let us know which day that will be okay for a live section that we are going to be bringing on next. Thanks so much. Like I said, Mary Adedoyin is my name, and I remain your fashion tutor. So stay tuned. Don't forget, don't miss all the series that are coming. You'll be glad you did. Circles are very important in as for a designer. I hope you have an amazing time today. So I am going to see you. Don't forget, so you can see all our flow. I'll show you again. You see how everything falls accordingly. The 360 degrees, the 1440 degrees. This is the 720 degrees that we drafted. So the more the degrees, the more the cone and the more the volume. So you can see this is like this now. This is 1440 degrees. You can see we have it small, and everything have the same radius. We use the same radius for all these projects. I see everyone next in our next video and our next live section. So look at also the 360 degrees. All right, guys. So have fun, do your calculation, make your drafts, and let me know in the comment section how I can do it. We see you next. So up to next time, keep swinging, keep creating, keep shining, keep making beautiful and amazing designs, because the world needs to hear and to see your designs. It's worth it. So I see you next. Bye.